now it's time for Culture Talk. This is the segment where we talk about culturally relevant topics, everything from movies and books and TV to just everyday conversations and helping you engage in those with confidence and compassion. So we have a special clip from RZIM itinerant speaker Cameron McAllister. We caught up with him recently at the AMP conference hosted by Reasons to Believe, and we talked about how pop culture can be used as a tool for evangelism. Let's check it out. So thank you so much for joining us. I love what you're doing in pop culture world and how you're really engaging that content. I want to ask though, let's take a look at what are we seeing as messages being communicated in pop culture?
It's interesting because I think one of the repeated messages that I'm seeing in a lot of our current shows is that you've got this very different view of skepticism now, where it's sort of presented as being smarter, more transparent, more authentic. So if you think about a show like True Detective, season 1 of True Detective, let's just pretend like season 2 didn't happen. But in season 1, Matthew McConaughey's character, Rustin Cole, aptly shortened to Rust, he's one of the more fascinating characters we've had in a while. He's got a very ruthless view, and he is willing to embrace the full consequences of a godless universe. And we see that over and over again. And I think the way he comes across, though, is not as despairing and hopeless, even though his view is. He comes across as brave, courageous, and incredibly intelligent. And that's very appealing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have been really drawn in by that. And I think it's become sort of internalized. It's one of those assumptions that a lot of people have in general about skepticism. But these shows are entertainment. They strengthen that conviction in the general public. And many Christians buy into this, that generally speaking, skeptics are smarter, they're more authentic, they ask the hard questions, and they're willing to face reality as it is, even though that's not necessarily true.
As we think about pop culture, how can we encourage Christians to move from really consuming the content to actually helping create it?
That's a very important question, and I love the way you've phrased it, because we don't want to just be mindless consumers. We actually want to thoughtfully deal with it. And I think it's interesting because in the past, you could go home from a hard day's work with the expectation that, hey, I'm going to chill out in front of the TV and just relax. Yeah. But a lot of these shows, Breaking Bad, True Detective, Mindhunter, they're asking some of the most difficult questions about human nature, about origin, meaning, morality, destiny, all these great questions. So they can be really powerful conversation starters. I often find that when I'm talking to people, if I mention the name of Jesus too soon, it's almost like invisible shades come down over their eyes and they're suddenly a million miles away, they're done talking to me, they've already tuned out. But if I talk about Breaking Bad, for instance, they'll talk my ear off about it. And often a conversation that starts with some television show or some popular novel will end up going all the way to the ultimate questions. And so these shows can be a real opportunity for us if we're paying close attention and we're looking at this, not just at these shows and different forms of entertainment, not just as tools, because they're more than that. They're works of art. Evaluating them holistically, then we can have a lot of really good conversations and we can actually talk to people about Christ.
If you want to hear more from Cameron McAllister, check out RZIM's Vital Signs podcast.